If you look at American students, if you look at America's greatness during the 1950s and 60s and 70s, all the way up through the 1980s, American high school students were being tested in international tests, and they scored near the top in math and science in international tests. It's called the TIMSS test. Now we're near the bottom. We're actually below Uruguay. We hope to overtake Uruguay soon. But the initiatives we've got forward at the federal level don't even discuss these international tests. This race to the top thing or the No Child Left Behind, there was no metric that said our job is to drive America back to the top of the international tests. That needs to be done. Now, people will tell you, some of the parties will tell you, well, we need to spend more on education. We spend more on education per capita than any country in the world already. So what have we got to do? What have we got to do? There's some best practices out there in Singapore and Finland. We know how to do it right, okay? But what we got to do is redeploy the money to have effective math and science teaching in this country, or we're never going to get good, high-paying jobs. And we want to go more. We not only want to reduce the waste in education, we want to reduce the waste in all state government and municipal government. And I want to call forward a gentleman named Raul Torres, House Representative from the state of Texas, who just got the first legislation for Lean Six Sigma waste reduction approved in the legislature and signed by the governor of Texas. Raul Torres.
Some men who are stout-hearted men who will fight for the right they adore. Start me with 10 who are stout-hearted men, and I'll soon give you 10,000 more. Oh, shoulder to shoulder and bolder they grow as they go to the score. Then there's nothing in the world can halt or mar a plan.
Raul fought against the most unbelievable and unfair efforts to thwart his plans. He had the door slammed in his face 3 times. But this stout-hearted man, who I'm proud to call my friend, he got up off the floor of the boxing ring and went after him again. And they knocked him down again. And he got back up and went after him again. And he was knocked down a 3rd time. But he kept coming. And pretty soon, the doors collapsed, and Raul won the day. So I'd like Raul to say a few words about the kind of struggles we're facing.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am honored to be here. Mr. George, thank you very much for showing the courage America needs right now in this day. Thank you. Mr. George asked me to come tell you the story, and I'll be real brief because I learned a long time ago in Texas, he who speaks little gets more voters. So I'm going to be very brief. In Texas, we do everything big in Texas, as they say. And so with that comes all the big problems as well, trying to get great ideas across. As everyone knows, government is entrenched in its bureaucracy, and its in habits, and its way of, that's not how we do things down here. But when I got to Austin, we were looking for a way to transform government from the bottom up rather from the top down. That's how things work. And so with that, we got this great idea, Lean Six Sigma, that was presented to us. We formulated it into legislation, and I started the process that in Texas, bills are designed in Texas to die. They're not designed to get passed. Thousands and thousands of bills are submitted, and they all die. One way or another, they're killed, as the phrase we use. And so we started the process, and we started with, in Texas, from once the bill is submitted, it gets issued by the Speaker of the House to a committee, and so started having to deal with the committee chairman. Even though he's a great guy, by the way, trying to get your idea in front of everybody else's, because in Texas, we only meet once every 2 years, and we only meet for 140 days. But we don't really start work as far as legislation until the end of February. So time was of the essence. So I had to work with him. He didn't quite give me the attention I needed, so I had to continue to work with him, and finally got him on board. Then I had to get the other 7 committee members on board. And then we finally got it out of committee, got over to calendars. And then we had to get it on a calendar. We opted for what we call local calendars. And then the local calendars, the bill was killed twice. Then I continued to work the administration, the leadership. None of the leadership was excited about the bill. And I went back to the committee, the calendar's chairwoman, a lady who was an outstanding legislator, and she finally told me, "Sorry, son, but your bill was killed." And I said, "Well, that's not good." All right, so then we go back and say, okay, back to our staff meeting, where do we go from here? And so then we decided we would then go talk to the governor's people. And so we did, and we talked to the lieutenant governor, and we talked, and then we finally got the bill released, and so then the bill was killed again. All right, so then after that, we said, okay, so that bill's dead. And so time's running out in our legislative session, and so he said, okay, there's another bill, we can attach it to it. So we had to create a bill called a Physical Matters Bill, and so we said, we're going to put an amendment on it. And we got that passed. But in Texas, we go to, when bills don't have the same language, the Senate and the House send their conferees into a conference committee, and my amendment got stripped. So I said, okay, we're going to have to do this again. So we found another bill that we successfully passed to the Senate. The Senate signed off on it, and it came back to the House with a little change. And this gave us the chance to do another amendment. And we got that passed. And then it went back to the Senate, got him convinced, he signed off on it, the senator, and it now went to the governor's desk for his approval. So that was our story.
Did the governor approve it?
It's waiting on his desk, and I think we're going to be inviting you down there for the signature.
Very good. Raul?
Shoulder to shoulder and bolder and bolder they grow as they go to the shore. There's nothing in the world can halt or bar a plan. Let's not hide it.
I think the appellation stout-hearted man certainly applies to Raul Torres. Do you agree? And it certainly applies to the 10 men and women that built us from 10 4 months ago to 15,000 now, and you'll meet them later. As he was telling that story, did you think he was really going to get this thing done? It's a dramatic story. I mean, you could write a mini-series for TV on this one. Okay, well, let me wrap up now. What is our worldview of America? That is what this debate, this presidential campaign is all about. There's two competing worldviews, isn't there? We want, our worldview, that I believe all of our strong America now people want, is we want a debt-free America that doesn't waste money on interest payments. Correct? We want to follow the guidance of the greatest American of all, whose portrait is behind me, and eliminate debt in this country. That's going to take time. But if we can pull $200 billion off in 2018, let's do it. Eliminating the deficit is going to allow us to free up our businesses. Now, our businesses face a lot of problems. Their taxes are 35%. They don't know what the cost of Obamacare is, the Affordable Health Act. They don't know what the cost of the carbon emissions laws that the EPA is, well, they're really not laws, they're just executive orders. The law actually failed in Congress, but no one knows how much the carbon taxes are going to be. There's a lot of other regulations. I want unemployment in this country to be below 5% in 3 years. We can do it. 4 other presidents have done it. You can't say it can't be done. It has been done. But it can't be done by this Keynesian economics of blowing money on stimuluses that don't stimulate. I want us to be able to be rich enough that we can take care of our elderly and those who are willing to work but unable, for whatever reason, to work. I want, if we're rich enough and if we have enough people employed, that should be a minor economic drain on this country if we're rich enough. And that is the fellow purpose I have. Again, thank you for giving me your Saturday. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. In conclusion, the deficit is causing the Congress to maintain 35% tax rates on business. This has driven 2.9 million jobs overseas. We must cut business taxes to 25%, which is the international average. High-paying jobs require us to be at the top in math and science education. We must take the waste out of education to drive America to the top in math and science. Unemployment can be cut to less than 5% in 3 years, and Medicare will be preserved.